Love you on the pitch, Roy. You're a wonderful footballer. When did you realize that you also could write comedy?
It was a tricky time.
That's not your real voice?
No, my real question for you is, how the hell do you do it all? You doing this, you're doing the other show we all know about, you're on the road doing comedy, you have your amazing podcast.
You guys search, you can see him doing stand-up all over New York, by the way. It's funny.
Yes, we're not allowed to go, but
we're
we'll
not
talk
allowed
about that. But
Strange as well.
how do you do it all? I mean, it's amazing.
I do it all because I fear the quiet. That is the truth. I think I'm insane, and my brain works better when there's 100 things happening at once.
Right.
This is why I'm in therapy.
Yeah.
And I sort of hope I don't get cured. Otherwise, I'm going to be very unproductive.
Yes, I understand. I totally understand. I do not like my agent actually says I don't idle well, and I think that might be the case for you. Krista, there's a story that I hope you don't mind sharing, where you came upon Jason doing what you thought was an acting technique.
It's my favorite story of the year, by the way.
Can you and Jason share this anecdote of what happened on set?
Or if Jason will tell it, help me tell it. But let me start by saying it was the first week of work. We had done the table read, and everyone was so good that I was completely intimidated and felt insecure. And I had met Jason a few times, but I was like wanted to be friends with him, but I was trying to be cool. And it was before a scene we were doing, and Jason, and we all got to know each other because the first couple of weeks our sets weren't built. We were in a house, and so we all were in this one room, hanging out together all day. And you had to like read the room and see if someone was doing their own thing. And Jason was sitting on the couch going, energy, access, energy. Access. And I was like, he's doing his thing. That's his technique. We went and did the scene. And do you want to take it from there?
Sure. So afterwards, she came up to me and she was really sweet. And I couldn't quite figure out what was going on because it was so deferential. And she said, listen.
Oh, no.
Obviously, these words speak for themselves. But can you tell me what these words mean for you in terms of your technique and your process, energy, access? And I was so delighted because I saw what was happening. And I said, no, those were my cue lines. You say energy and she says access. I couldn't remember when I was supposed to talk. And we've teased her about it every day since.
That's my favorite part of the story. You're like, I'm familiar with that. But how do you use it?
Just trying to remember my lines.
But by the way, it actually, before every scene, we all say energy, access.
We all have sweatshirts with energy.
We have sweatshirts with them, and we say energy access.
Yeah.
Now, I know some of you might be confused because the Paley Center doesn't often bring a background performer to a panel. But I promise you that Michael Urie is in the show. And trust me, you are friggin' hilarious and so charming, and you play the happiest person in the whole show, I think. It's a show about a lot of suffering, genuinely, a lot of people suffering, and your character is, I think, the most joyous person in the world. What do you think that's about? I mean, he's obviously in love and he's going to get married, but did you find that too when you were playing him?
Yes. When I read the first episode, obviously I was like, huh. I was like, interesting. So he drives a gas car. That's all I know about him. But
you know, Michael showed up to the table read like a champ in front of all the Apple executives. And then when I read the action line, and Harrison Ford's there, and I read the action line, Jimmy looks across at his best friend Brian pumping gas. He calmly got out of his seat, mimed pumping gas, gave a little bow, and then by the way went back.
But you gave me that moment. through to me, and but that is the, you know, I was a little intimidated coming into the show because I didn't know anybody, and I wasn't in the first episode really, and here I am sitting at the table read with all of these heavies, and he threw me that moment, and I got to get a laugh at the table read, and that was the beginning of that's what the whole show is like, is getting thrown gems from people, from Jason, from Jessica, from Harrison, from everybody. I mean, from Zach, from all of our directors, and of course the writing. It's like when you're in it, when they say action and you're getting gems, it makes it so much easier. But to answer your question about being happy in a really sad show, so the material that I had when I made my audition tape was this great stuff. It was like, everything goes my way. All these funny, that's sort of my catchphrase. Because in the first episode, it's like, it's so funny and it's so sad, and you can see how much is underneath all these characters. I knew eventually we would get to know why he says that, what's underneath that. And I didn't know when and I didn't know how, but I knew it would come. And that's the thing about this show that's so amazing, is the way that things sneak up on you. And you know, a person gets advice from the least likely place or gives advice to the least likely person. It's constantly surprising. Even when I watched it, I kept forgetting I was in it because I'm not always in it.
I'll tell you something about Michael. There's this line in episode 2, which I won't spoil for you, that we obsessively cut stuff. We cut this line, but before we cut the line, we'd sent him the script to audition, and when he sent his tape, he did that line so good, we were like, oh, we got to put that line in. Like, he's fucking amazing.